What up, though, Top Squad? Welcome back. We got a little Nolan Wells update. So recently, the park ranger that found his body, he dropped a video that he was stating in the video that the body wasn't bloated, y'all. So you know what that means, right? That means he didn't drown. That means he didn't drown. If the body wasn't bloated, that means it wasn't no water in it. You know what I'm saying? Let's run it.
From Myers Club, Fight Plus News, I'm John Abba.
Normally, when a body's been floating, you'll see some bloating. I'm trying to think of the most respectful way to say it. The body did not seem at that height to be disproportionate to the way it should look.
Continue our coverage on the case of Nolan Wells. On Monday, Wells's family, friends, and supporters would send off the 18-year-old who has taken over headlines after he'd reportedly go missing on July 4th during a trip with friends to a Mississippi island. Now, after a 2-day search, Wells's body would be mysteriously found washed ashore in the same location. To note, one of the biggest conversations that need to be answered for many have been what are his autopsy results and how was the condition of his body. For those who watch Wells' service, they would notice that the family decided to not go with an open casket, drawing in more speculation if the
I was about to say that so you know when somebody go in a funeral and it's not an open casket, you know that means the body was like done severely. Like it's either they couldn't identify the body or it's just that it was so severe that they don't want to show it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only time they'll have closed caskets in funerals.
condition of his body showed any signs of foul play. Now, while many would view his service from across the nation, Wells's rescue and ultimately body's condition would continue to be a conversation by one of the last people to see his body. During a new interview with TMZ, Cajun Navy's Brian Trasher would go on to stun viewers when he would share what he saw when Nolan was finally found. According to Trasher, who has been a part of the Cajun Navy for nearly 10 years, way up from his vantage point, Wells's body did not appear to be bloated like most drowning victims he's used to seeing.
We were coming back up.
What's the fastest way to go viral right now?
Dancing? Doing something crazy? Posting 3 times a day?
North towards the northwest tip of Horn Island when we noticed there were boats in the center of the island where there's a lagoon tip. And then when we got closer, we noticed there were 2 boats already parked in tandem on the beach. That was strange. It was a Monday morning. It was obvious they weren't fishing. So we descended and to about maybe 450 feet, 500 feet. And we could tell it was law enforcement boats, law enforcement personnel. And then I noticed that there was what appeared to be a body right at the shoreline, laying face down. The one thing I'll say about the condition of the body, and again, I want to stress.
Did he say it was law enforcement just now? Did he say it was law enforcement? Bro, what's wrong with my shit, bro? This shit bugging out.
That there was what appeared to be a body right at the shoreline, laying face down. The one thing I'll say about the condition of the body, and again, I want to stress, and then when we got closer, we noticed there were 2 boats already parked in tandem on the beach. That was strange. It was a Monday morning. It was obvious they weren't fishing. So we descended and to about maybe 450 feet, 500 feet. And we could tell it was law enforcement boats, law enforcement personnel. And then I noticed that there was what appeared to be a body.
So he said he could tell it was law enforcement. So law enforcement was there, but they didn't see the body. How long was they there for?
Right at the shoreline, laying face down. The one thing I'll say about the condition of the body, and again, I want to stress very, as much as I can, that I'm at 450 feet in the air. But normally when a body's been floating, you'll see some bloating and whatnot. He wasn't in the water that long. The water temperature was high. He has a low body mass index. Normally we'll look for a body to pop up on about day 4, but we knew it was possible he could pop up as soon as day 2. And this was day 2. I'm trying to think of the most respectful way to say it. The body did not seem.
The body is supposed to pop up day 1. He said the water was warm. The body is supposed to pop up because in warm water, when you put things in, like anything going warm water, it builds gas inside that shit. Especially a dead body, it's gonna float. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna build up gas in that shit. That shit gonna float. Hell yeah. So that shit was supposed to be floating since day one.
At that height to be disproportionate to the way it should look. Now, I could not get a good look at his face. So I was really looking at, his back of his legs, back of his arms. And so that was my vantage point. And I just want to stress to everybody that that's not an ideal vantage point. And plus, I'm flying at like 90 knots. So, I mean, I'm going pretty fast.
Now, as
Can't
mentioned
really
by
see.
Trasher, a drowning victim typically begins bloating after some time in the water, caused by bacteria inside the body producing gases. It is from the buildup of gases that causes the torso and other tissues to swell that often lead the body to rise to the surface. Now, here's where it gets interesting. According to research, bloating typically begins in warm water, 25 degrees Celsius or higher, around day 2 or day 3, and usually takes longer in cold water. Now, Wells's body was found on day 2 since he went missing, so that timeline aligns. But again, according to Trasher's vantage point, the condition of his body did not align with what many may have expected, because upon research.
Wow. So what they're saying is his body was like, even though his body was floating in the water and you know what I'm saying, it looked like he was drowning, there was no bloating. That's one. So he didn't drown. And then his body is not bloated. That means it wasn't sitting in the water for too long. No way, bro. Could they have, like, they had to, like, move his body. They had to move his body because they had to move his body, bro. Because if his body was in the water since day one, it would have been bloated, bro. It would have been bloated. They said there's no signs of bloating. They had to move that body. So he probably died somewhere else, y'all. He probably died somewhere else, and they put the body in the water after he died. I don't know when, but they had to. They had to. They probably did it the same day. They probably, you know what they probably did? They probably told people that he drowned. You know what I'm saying? And they tried to see if people would have bought it. And since the cops wasn't doing their job, they said, "Hey, fuck it. Let's put him back. Let's put him back where we was at, and you know, let them really think he drowned, just in case they do go find his body or something, or do try to, you know, make a case out of it." Because I don't think they thought it was gonna be a case out of this. I don't think they thought that it was gonna be a case out of this, y'all. I think they thought it was just gonna be another black brother just gone, and no justice. I don't think they knew that we was gonna go hard for him. I don't think they knew that. They felt like they got away, so they put his body back because they didn't have nowhere else to put it, probably. But I know they moved his body.
Looking up the water temperature on Horn Island that day Nolan went missing, as well as July 5th and 6th, the water was considered warm to hot, meaning that a drowning victim should definitely show signs of bloating in those conditions. Now, to Trash's point again, he did say he was flying above when he saw Wells's body, but his admission has caused some to add to the speculation of what really happened. In the comment section of his interview with TMZ, one user would go on to say, "Sounds like he was placed in the water that day," while another would write, definitely dumped overnight. Now, those two comments seem to reflect some people's feelings who believe foul play was involved, that Wells was somehow returned back to the island after allegedly being fatally attacked.
He had to be. He had to be, y'all. He had to be, because there's no way he's gonna there's no way he's gonna be drowned. He's gonna drown and not be bloated. The water was warm. The temperature, if he would have drowned that day, basically he was supposed to come up. He was supposed to be floating by the next morning. And the guy that found him said that it was a Coast Guard or something like that. The Coast Guard or something like that was over there. So I don't understand how the Coast Guard didn't see him if he was supposed to be floating for 2 days. How you ain't see him? This dude is flying in the sky and he sees him. Some foul play, gang. It's foul play.
His interview with TMZ would come to an end. Trasher would also go on to admit that he found it interesting that Wells's body would end up right back where he was last seen.
It seems like what happened was he was carried north, which indicates to me that he might have got caught in a rip current, and it carried him north. And then as the tide slacked and the current changed back to a southward heading, it carried him right back to the beach. The only thing that really stood out to me that I was not expecting is that he washed up very, very close to the last spot where he was seen alive. I wasn't expecting that.
Now, going back to Wells' funeral service on Monday.
So basically he's saying that the current could have washed him up. It's possible that the current could have washed him up. But how possible is it that the current washed him up in the exact same spot where he was at before he died? Come on now. And if he died in that same spot, his body is not going to be in that same spot because the water current is strong, he said. It was strong that day. So most likely his body is supposed to be washed, floating away somewhere in the water. You know what I mean? It's supposed to wash up somewhere else. It's not supposed to come up at the same exact spot where he was partying at, where he supposedly died at. They put that body there, y'all. They put that body there. They must have they thought that the cops wasn't gonna. They thought we wasn't gonna make it a big deal out of this, and they thought the cops wasn't gonna pick the case up. But we gave them no choice but to pick the case up by making this go viral. You know what I'm saying? By putting this out there. We're forcing them to pick the case up. So now that's where they start doing all this. All right, let's put the body back. So we could, But this wasn't planned. Like they didn't plan this. They just did it. They just did it. I don't think they planned it. They just did it. And then during the after the effect, that's when the planning started happening. But it was too late for that. It was too late. This is crazy, y'all. Like, how sick can you be to just want to kill somebody because we don't even really know why. For right now, it's just because he's black. That's what we all got right now. That's what I'm getting. But it's something deeper than that. It has to be.
At the end of it, Wells' parents and team would continue to spearhead their message of getting justice for Nolen, and they would host a press conference to answer questions. Now, it is during this press conference that Representatives Ben Crump would take a moment to call out the slow results they've gotten from the first autopsy in toxicology conducted by the Mississippi State Examiner, conducted on July 7th.
It's always troublesome to all of us when these investigations just take forever. I mean, 6 months to get a toxicology report back, to get an autopsy done, as if, you know, the longer we let it go, the more.
Bro, I swear to you, you can look it up right now. It do not take that long to get an autopsy. Not even half, not even a quarter of that. It do not take that long. 6 months? It do not take that long, bro. They really killed this kid and trying to cover it up. They did that.
Forget other things happen, it gets swept under the rug. And so that's what's important, to have a timeline. And when you don't have that timeline, you start to say, oh, what Nolan Wells, what happened? I mean, I remember that case.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it's because he was a up and coming NFL, college football player. I think he was in the college football. I wouldn't be surprised if they was, jealous of him and didn't want him to make it far because they saw his talent. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, another black NFL star, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But it could be anything, y'all. It could be anything. These is kids. It could be anything, bro. And then it's a racial crime at that. Like, it's a racial profiled crime. This crime is being racially profiled, so it has to be something bigger than that.
You got no answers.
But it could be that though.
Honey, relate.
Waiting again, huh? But luckily you've got me. Minute Maid Zero Sugar. Full orange pineapple flavor.
Zero stress.
I think my jacket's broken.
So that's your husband, huh? Cool.
They gave me the whole commercial.
Now, looking up, preliminary findings typically can be available within 2 to 3 days. And these findings usually outline initial observations and may provide an early indication of the cause of death. And as far as toxicology reports, they can take 4 to 8 weeks. Now, Crump would also share that they are anticipating to get back the first autopsy results before diving into their independent autopsy, since it could be an even better assessment of Nolan's body, given that the state medical examiner had his body much sooner to the time of his passing. Now, before the press conference would come to an end, Crump would go on to share that his team has even gotten a tip that Nolan was seen on the boat of the girl that he was allegedly last seen talking to. According to Crump, they just want the truth no matter who's to blame.
There are people who are presenting videos, photographs that may show Nolan was on the boat with the person, Katie. We got to fully bet that I respect so much what my mentor, Reverend Al, said up there. We're going to go wherever the truth leads us.
As of now, Wells' parents continues to not have answers of what happened to their son that day.
I've seen the photos of his body on the beach. I couldn't see the face, the neck, the arms, the hands for defensive wounds. I couldn't see if there were bruises to the torso. I couldn't see if the skull was fractured. None of that. I couldn't see if teeth were missing. But it seems to me we would know there had been blunt force trauma, stabbing, shooting, manual or ligature asphyxiation. We would know that. But yet, we know nothing.
And a now $100,000 reward on behalf of Al Sharpton and Tyler Perry has been presented in an attempt to expedite those answers. Let's talk about it more in the comments below. Now that we're hearing from one of the rescuers sharing how Nolan's body appeared from his vantage point, does it add to more speculation, or could Wells' death be an unfortunate drowning that went unnoticed? Reporting.
Definitely add to his speculation. Definitely. Because, like he said, the water was warm. He's supposed to be bloated if he was there for a whole day. You know what I'm saying? For 2 whole days. Because remember, he found him 2 days later. So if he was there for 2 days and there's no sign of bloating, he was just put there. He was recently placed there, gang. He was recently placed there, and they placed him there because people was buying the story that he drowned. Nobody was really buying it, but like I said, they felt like because the Mississippi law enforcement, because they wasn't, putting in no work, because they wasn't investigating right away when they found out about it, and they wasn't like thoroughly investigating at that, because whoever had the phone, they didn't question them. Whoever was posting the videos, they didn't question them. I don't think they questioned anybody. Nobody came. There's no statement from anybody yet. They haven't spoken to anybody yet. I don't think they've spoken to anybody yet. No witnesses. So, and if these people are going live and claiming to be his best friend and things like that, I believe they need to speak to these people. You know what I'm saying? These people are suspects. They're making themselves suspects, gang. If a crime just happened and I'm going live and I'm talking about it, of course 12 gonna show up at my house. It's a crime I'm talking about. It's a live crime. It's just real time. So it's crazy how they didn't approach any of the people that went live. Even Nolan's best friend that went live, they never spoke to him. Nobody. It's like they not trying. So because the lack of support from the because of the lack of work, from the lack of investigating from the police department in Mississippi, they must have these folks, they must have felt like, all right, so we're gonna put him back so that when they do investigate, they're gonna see that he drowned. Because we already said he drowned. And you know what else too? They had the body with him, right? If his body didn't come up in this area or in the water somewhere, if they would have found his body somewhere in the woods or somewhere in some bunker, some underground bunker, they would have knew off the bat he was killed. So they thought about it and said, you know what? Let's put him back in the water. Let's put him back in the water so that it can all fall in line. He drowned. This is where he drowned at. That's why y'all found him there. Damn, son. Shame on them police department out there, man, in Mississippi, man. Shame on them folks out there, man. This shit is crazy. And I hate seeing young bros, the young YNs. He's not even a YN. He's a young nigga, but you know what I mean. The young boys, bro. I hate seeing the young brothers go like this, bro. That shit crazy. He's 18. I remember when I was 18, bro. I was full of life, bro. I was really like the life of the party when I was 18. Like, I brought life everywhere I went. I turned up everywhere I went. So I know that age is crazy to go. You ain't experienced nothing. Barely. It's OC Topics. If you're new to my channel, like, subscribe. Drop a comment. I hope everything going good with you. Morning where you at, good morning. If it's night, good night. Stay blessed. Think positive. You do positive things. And I'm going to catch you on the next one.